Imagine this. You're making millions. You could buy an island, a private jet, or your 20th villa in Miami. That's what most people do. But there are a few who choose a different path, giving their fortune away to charity. And it's not a fairy tale. These people really exist. So let's go and see who these people are. Mackenzie Scott. When the news broke about Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott's divorce, the world expected the usual billionaire soap opera. Scandals, the division of billions, lawyers giving endless interviews, and tabloids feasting on gossip. But Mackenzie chose a path that, for the ultra-rich, seems almost insane. She simply began giving her money away on a massive scale. After the divorce, she walked away with around $36 billion. For most people, even a single million is enough to make your head spin. But instead of hoarding her fortune, buying palaces, and collecting yachts, Mackenzie made a move that shocked even cynics. She promised to give away the majority of her wealth to charity. And she kept her word. And she does it as quietly as possible. No staged press releases with fake smiles, no selfies with children in shelters. She just transfers millions to organizations that support students from low-income families, women who have survived violence, and small cultural or educational nonprofits. Her one condition is simple. The money must actually help people. In just a few years, she has donated more than $14 billion. To put that in perspective, that's more than the annual budget of some entire countries. And she gives at such a pace that it leaves financial experts stunned. Most billionaires prefer to donate tiny percentages stretched out over decades, keeping their capital intact while polishing their public image. Mackenzie seems determined to break this system. Her money isn't meant to sit idle, it's meant to save lives now. What makes her approach even more unusual is that she doesn't try to control every cent. Wealthy donors often demand board seats, dictate how charities should spend funds, and turn philanthropy into a branding exercise. Mackenzie instead just writes the check and tells organizations, "I trust you. Do what you think is best." For nonprofits used to red tape and endless reporting, this is revolutionary. Of course, there are skeptics. Some argue that this kind of giving can easily miss the mark, that millions could go to the wrong places. But compared to the rest of the billionaire class, always hunting for another villa in Monaco, her mistakes look trivial. What matters is that her money isn't sitting offshore. It's flowing into projects that actually change people's lives. And that's the essence of Mackenzie Scott's phenomenon. She doesn't try to be the star of philanthropy. She has no ambition to be remembered as some great reformer. She simply lives by a principle. I have resources. Others don't. That means I should share. And that's why she is respected more than many politicians and business leaders who only promise to make the world a better place. Her story is a reminder. Wealth alone doesn't make someone special. But how a person chooses to use that wealth can truly change the world. Keanu Reeves. There are actors who carefully build a cult of personality around themselves. And then there's Keanu Reeves. His cult happened on its own, not because he pushed for it, but because the world suddenly realized this man is nothing like the rest of Hollywood stars. Keanu was born in Beirut and grew up in Toronto. He lost his father at an early age, and later, the woman he loved along with their unborn child. His life has been marked by tragedy, but those experiences shaped him into someone remarkably humane. While many stars drown in luxury, Keanu learned to appreciate simple things. You might see him riding the subway, quietly giving up his seat to a woman with heavy bags, or sitting on a park bench with a sandwich and coffee, just like any ordinary person. For fans, this feels almost miraculous, like imagining Elon Musk commuting to work on a city bus. But the real Keanu magic lies in how he uses his money. After the success of The Matrix, he earned tens of millions of dollars. And what did he do? He gave away around $70 million to the special effects and costume teams. In his words, they were the ones who made the film iconic, and they deserved the money just as much as the actors. In Hollywood, this sounded almost heretical. Normally, stars fight for every bonus, But here was a man simply handing over his earnings to people who usually remain in the shadows. There's also a lesser-known story. Keanu established a foundation to help children with cancer and fund leukemia research, and he did it in secret. For years, the foundation operated without his name attached. He was just an anonymous donor. It only came to light by accident that he was behind it. When journalists asked why he didn't want recognition, Keanu's answer was simple. "I don't want this to be about me. I just want it to help." And that wasn't a one-off gesture. He has funded hospital renovations, given motorcycles to stuntmen he's worked with, and bought gifts for crew members to thank them for their effort. He's known for riding motorcycles instead of limousines, for not buying palaces, and for avoiding flashy spending in clubs. His net worth is estimated in the hundreds of millions, yet he lives almost like an ascetic. This humility and humanity have turned him into a meme. Keanu is too good to be real. But behind the meme lies the truth. He proves you can be a superstar without losing your connection to ordinary life. He doesn't try to act like a saint or set himself up as a role model. He simply lives by his own code. Respect people, be grateful for what you have, and help those who have less. And in that, his strength shines through. Because in a world where millions chase luxury and likes, one man can prove that the real value lies in simplicity and kindness. The story of Keanu Reeves is a reminder that even in Hollywood, where every second person is selling an image, you can still find someone who remains authentically themselves. And that's why people love him not just for his roles, but for who he is when the cameras are off. Chance the Rapper. When we hear the word rapper, most people imagine gold chains thick as anchor ropes, million-dollar cars, and mansion parties. But Chance the Rapper has built a very different reputation. He's not just an artist. He's a man who put his own community, Chicago, at the center of his mission. Born Chancellor Bennett on the city's south side, he grew up in an environment marked by crime, poverty, and struggling schools, barely holding together. That's where his values were shaped. And when his music career took off, bringing him fame and money, he didn't run from his past. Instead, he returned with the intention of changing it. Chance's most famous act of giving came in 2017, when he announced a $1 million donation to Chicago's public schools. And it wasn't just a one-off headline check. He did it at a time when the school system was in deep financial crisis, teachers on strike, kids without enough textbooks or computers. His million sent a powerful message. If the government can't fix it, the community will. But that was only the beginning. Through his organization Social Works, Chance has raised tens of millions of dollars for programs in arts, technology, and education. One standout initiative is Open Mic, named after his mentor, where young people can perform, rap, recite poetry, and explore music. It's more than a stage. It's a safe space where teens feel their voices matter. Another crucial part of his work is promoting mental health. His foundation helps schools provide counseling and psychological support so students have somewhere to turn in difficult times. In a city like Chicago, where many kids face violence and poverty daily, this kind of support is priceless. And he does all this while staying an independent artist. Chance famously refused contracts from major labels, choosing instead to earn through tours and merchandise. That means the money he gives back isn't corporate. It's truly his own, earned by himself and then redirected to his community. Critics sometimes sneer. So what? $1 million is nothing to a rapper. But they forget that very few wealthy artists donate anything at all. In an industry obsessed with flaunting success, Chance flips the script. Real success, he shows, is making other people's lives better. Today, in Chicago, Chance the Rapper isn't just a star. He's a symbol that someone from a rough neighborhood can not only rise out of poverty, but also reach back to lift others up. He proves that rap doesn't have to be only about money and fame. It can also be about responsibility. And that's his true uniqueness. Chance doesn't look like a superhero, and he doesn't pretend to be a savior. He's just a kid from Chicago who made millions and decided to put them where they could actually change lives. Oprah Winfrey. If philanthropy could be trademarked as a brand, it would be called Oprah. Her name has long been synonymous with generosity and social initiatives. While many celebrities make loud, one-time donations just for the headlines, Oprah built an entire system of support that has been running for decades. Oprah was born into a poor family in rural Mississippi. Her childhood was a story of poverty, abuse, and discrimination. She wasn't born into wealth. She literally fought her way out of poverty through talent and perseverance. And even after achieving immense fame and fortune, she never forgot where she came from. For her, charity is not a trend. It's a personal mission. Her most famous project is the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. The school opened in 2007 and became a symbol of hope for hundreds of girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Oprah invested more than $40 million to create it, providing education, housing, and resources that these children could once only dream of. But it wasn't just about money. She personally took part in selecting students, attended the opening, and continues to support the academy today. For many girls, Oprah became not just a benefactor, but almost a second mother. Her work, however, is not limited to Africa. In the United States, Oprah has founded numerous grant programs and funds supporting education, culture, and healthcare. She has donated millions to universities, particularly historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, giving thousands of young people opportunities they otherwise would never have had. Another important part of her philanthropy is disaster relief. When hurricanes, earthquakes, or wildfires destroyed entire communities, Oprah donated millions to help victims, quickly and decisively, without waiting for slow government action. Her funds helped rebuild homes, schools, and hospitals. Oprah also uses her media power to amplify these efforts. Through her shows, books, and television networks, she has turned the spotlight on social issues ranging from poverty to women's rights. She has a rare ability to make charity feel less like a duty and more like an inspiring movement. She doesn't chase sainthood, but she clearly wants to leave the world better than she found it. Critics sometimes argue her giving is too selective, that you can't solve global problems with small, targeted projects. But that is precisely her strength. She chooses stories that personally move her and transforms them completely. For those specific people, schools, or communities, her help is life-changing. Today, her net worth is measured in billions. But for millions of people, she is valuable not as a billionaire, but as someone who proved that wealth can be turned into a tool of hope. Oprah is living proof that a personal story of pain and struggle can be transformed into a legacy of inspiration and generosity. And when America talks about celebrities who truly make a difference, Oprah Winfrey's name is always at the top. Because she doesn't just give money, she gives people a chance. Leonardo DiCaprio. When people think of Leonardo DiCaprio, most remember Titanic, and the endless jokes about him finally winning an Oscar too late. But outside Hollywood, Leo has a second life, that of a committed environmentalist and activist who spends his millions not on mansions and sports cars, but on saving the planet. His interest in nature began in childhood. Unlike many of his peers, Leonardo grew up fascinated by documentaries about animals and oceans. In the mid-1990s, when his acting career was just taking off, he was already speaking publicly about climate change, back when the topic was still considered fringe. Over time, this fascination turned into a true mission. In 1998, at just 24 years old, he founded the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation. Since then, it has invested more than $100 million into hundreds of projects around the world, protecting tropical forests, saving oceans, fighting climate change, and preserving endangered species. Unlike many celebrity foundations, which exist mostly for image, DiCaprio's organization works directly with scientists, environmental groups, and local communities. One of its signature efforts has been protecting the Amazon rainforest. The foundation has funded programs supporting indigenous tribes and organizations fighting illegal logging. In Asia, it has supported tiger conservation initiatives, while in Africa, it has helped create reserves for elephants and rhinos. His approach is global, not just handing out money but building systems that allow nature to survive long-term. Beyond funding, Leonardo leverages his fame. He has produced documentaries like Before the Flood and The 11th Hour, spotlighting the ecological crisis. In these films, he doesn't just narrate. He appears on screen, interviewing scientists, politicians, and activists. His goal is clear: to make people realize that climate catastrophe is not some distant threat, but a crisis happening right now. In 2014, he addressed the United Nations General Assembly as a UN messenger of peace on climate issues. His speech landed like a thunderclap, a global star telling world leaders to their faces that they weren't doing enough, warning that history will not forgive us for inaction. Most celebrities shy away from angering politicians, but Leonardo takes that risk when the planet is at stake. Of course, his foundation has faced criticism too. Skeptics point out the irony. He flies private jets and then lectures us about climate change. There is some truth to that, but even his critics admit the sheer scale of his contributions makes his impact undeniable. The irony is that if every wealthy person gave half as much as Leo, the world's environmental situation would already be far better. What matters is that this isn't a publicity stunt for him. His foundation has existed for decades, and he consistently donates millions without fanfare or the need for extra titles. Even when he finally won his long-awaited Oscar in 2016, instead of the usual thank yous, he used his speech to warn about melting ice in the Arctic and the urgent need for action. Leonardo DiCaprio is a rare example of an actor who plays heroes on screen, but also acts like one in real life. His films bring in billions, but his true passion isn't the box office. It's the Earth itself. And this isn't a pose or an image. It's a choice, proven by decades of work and hundreds of millions of dollars invested in saving nature. His story reminds us, you can be a global superstar and still choose to invest not in yachts, but in the planet's future. And that's why his name belongs among the few celebrities who use their wealth and influence not for luxury, but to make the world just a little better. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is one of the most successful artists on the planet. And in recent years, she's become not just a symbol of pop culture, but also a clear example of how a celebrity can use wealth and influence for more than just themselves. Most people see her as the superstar filling stadiums and topping charts. But behind the scenes, her career is also marked by countless generous gestures that show she genuinely cares about her fans and the world around her. Her path to philanthropy began long before billion-dollar tours. Early in her career, when she was still breaking into the music industry, Taylor was already donating to schools, libraries, and organizations supporting children. One of her first major acts was a $4 million donation to create the Taylor Swift Education Center at the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville. She was barely in her 20s, and it was the largest gift ever made to the center by a single donor. But what Taylor is best known for is her personal, targeted generosity. Stories of her secret donations have become legends among her fans. She's paid medical bills for sick children, sent tens of thousands of dollars to families in crisis, and even wiped out student debt. People usually only found out about her kindness because recipients shared it on social media. Taylor herself never sought publicity for it. In 2015, she gave $50,000 to the family of a little girl battling cancer. In 2018, she covered tuition for a student who couldn't afford college. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she supported small businesses by quietly sending money to shop owners and cafes that were struggling to survive lockdowns. Her foundation also donates millions regularly to fight poverty, fund education, and support victims of natural disasters. When hurricanes devastated the southern U.S., she sent hundreds of thousands to the Red Cross and local charities. After the Manchester Arena bombing at Ariana Grande's concert in 2017, she gave a large donation to the Victims Fund. A particularly meaningful focus of her philanthropy is supporting women's rights and the LGBTQ+ community. Taylor has funded equality campaigns, donated to legal aid groups, and supported organizations fighting injustice. In 2019, she gave $113,000 to the Tennessee Equality Project, which opposed discriminatory laws in her home state. And she hasn't slowed down even at the height of her fame. During the record-shattering Eras tour, she earned hundreds of millions. But in 2023, she shocked the industry by giving bonuses of $100,000 each to the truck drivers hauling stage equipment, spending over $50 million in bonuses in total. In a business where behind-the-scenes workers are often overlooked, it was nothing short of a revolution. Critics might say, "So what? She's a billionaire, she can afford it." But the truth is, very few superstars share their wealth so freely. For many, charity is just PR. For Taylor, it seems to be a way of life. She does it quietly, without staged photo ops or press releases. The secret to her massive popularity isn't just her music. It's that people feel she's genuine. Swift has mastered the art of creating closeness with her fans, and her generosity only strengthens that bond. She shows that even at the peak of fame, you can stay human and care about others' struggles. Taylor Swift's story is proof that a pop star can be more than a symbol of success. They can also be a source of hope. She doesn't give money for headlines. She gives it where it's needed most, right now. And that's why her name so often appears not only on the lists of the richest celebrities, but also the most generous. Dolly Parton. When most people hear the name Dolly Parton, they think of her iconic songs, her southern accent, her big hair, and sparkling country outfits. But behind that glamorous image is a woman who has become one of the most generous and sincere celebrities in the world. She doesn't just sing about ordinary people. She spent her entire life helping those people live better. Dolly was born into a poor family in rural Tennessee. She had 11 brothers and sisters, and they literally grew up in a wooden cabin without basic amenities. She knows firsthand what poverty feels like. That experience shaped her worldview. If you have the ability to help others, you simply must do it. Her most famous project is the Imagination Library, launched in 1995 in her home county of Sevier. The idea was simple. Every child under the age of 5 should receive free books in the mail. What started as a local initiative quickly grew into a national and then international program. To date, the Library of Imagination has distributed more than 200 million books to children around the world. For many kids, these were the very first books in their lives. Cultivating a love for reading, this became her personal mission. But her generosity didn't stop there. In 2016, when devastating wildfires swept through Tennessee, Dolly created the My People Fund. She promised to give every family who lost their home $1,000 a month for 6 months. In the end, the fund paid out millions, helping people get back on their feet after the disaster. This wasn't abstract charity. It was direct help for the very neighbors she grew up with. Another headline-making moment came during the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2020, the world was stunned to learn that Dolly Parton's $1 million donation helped fund research for the Moderna vaccine. Scientists confirmed that her money played a crucial role in the early stages of development. In other words, a country singer quite literally helped save millions of lives. She has also given tens of millions to healthcare institutions. One of her donations funded the construction of a children's hospital in Nashville, which now bears her name and treats thousands of kids each year. And yet, Dolly always insists she doesn't do any of this for fame. On the contrary, she often avoids talking about her philanthropy. Her philosophy is simple. If you can help, help, and don't expect applause. But the world applauds her anyway. Many celebrities like to announce their charitable projects on red carpets, but Dolly is different. She remains the same down-to-earth woman from Tennessee who never forgot her roots. That's what makes her giving so genuine. Today, Dolly Parton is not just a country music icon. She is a true folk hero. She has proven that kindness and generosity can be just as powerful as talent. And if her songs have brought joy to millions, her philanthropy has given millions a chance at a better future. Her story is a reminder. It doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is what you're willing to give back to the world. And Dolly Parton gives with the same passion that she sings. Rihanna. For most people, Rihanna is the pop diva behind Umbrella, the queen of dazzling stage shows, and the powerhouse behind the multi-billion-dollar Fenty empire. But there's more to her story than music and business. Over the years, she has become a symbol of generosity and social responsibility. Unlike many of her peers, who settle for loud words and occasional gestures, Rihanna has spent decades consistently putting her money and energy into philanthropy. In 2012, she founded the Clara Lionel Foundation, named after her grandparents, Clara and Lionel. This foundation became the cornerstone of her charitable work, with a mission as simple as it is ambitious: to improve education, health care, and living conditions in the world's most vulnerable communities. One of the foundation's first priorities was education. Rihanna has regularly funded scholarship programs for students from the Caribbean and other disadvantaged regions, giving them the chance to study at U.S. universities. For many young people, this was nothing less than a ticket to a new life. Healthcare is another major focus. The foundation funds clinics, medical programs, and initiatives to fight HIV/AIDS. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck, the Clara Lionel Foundation was one of the first to respond, donating $5 million for medical equipment, testing, and protective supplies worldwide. Later, Rihanna teamed up with Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey to donate tens of millions more to support victims of the pandemic, aid women suffering from domestic violence, and fund food programs. Equally important has been disaster relief. Coming from Barbados, Rihanna knows firsthand the devastation caused by hurricanes. Her foundation has invested in rebuilding homes and schools in the Caribbean and has extended support to disaster-hit communities in the U.S. and beyond. Rihanna has also used her star power to amplify her cause. In 2016, her foundation launched the annual Diamond Ball, drawing celebrities and business leaders together. The event raised millions for charity, but unlike traditional fundraising galas, the Diamond Ball felt more like a cultural celebration, turning giving into something joyful and glamorous. The world also took notice when Rihanna spoke openly about social and political issues. In 2017, Harvard University named her Humanitarian of the Year for her large-scale initiatives in healthcare and education. In her acceptance speech, she delivered a simple but powerful message: "You don't have to be rich to help. You just need a heart." That quote became a kind of manifesto for her work. Critics sometimes point out that her business success, especially Fenty Beauty, which made her the first black woman billionaire, makes philanthropy easier for her. But the truth is, she began her charitable work long before she became a billionaire. She has always returned to her roots, especially in Barbados, where she built schools and hospitals. Today, Rihanna's name is associated not just with music and fashion, but with responsibility. She has shown that you can be a global superstar, run a massive company, and still stay grounded, seeing charity not as a one-off act, but as an ongoing mission. Rihanna's story is proof that a girl from a small island can conquer the world, and then give far more back than she ever took. That's her uniqueness. She doesn't just earn billions, she transforms them into hope for millions. Matt Damon. For many, Matt Damon is Jason Bourne, or the genius from Good Will Hunting. But off-screen, he has another role, arguably his most important one. He is the co-founder of Water.org, an organization that for years has been helping people in the poorest countries gain access to something as basic as clean water. It all began in 2006, when Damon, already a global star, traveled to Africa and saw with his own eyes how millions of people walk miles every single day to fetch dirty water from puddles and rivers. He was struck by a simple thought. In the 21st century, something as ordinary to us as turning on the tap remains an unattainable luxury for billions. While someone in Los Angeles might complain about weak water pressure in the shower, children in Kenya were dying from diseases caused by contaminated water. That trip changed him. Instead of writing a one-time check, Damon decided to dedicate a part of his life to systematically fighting this problem. He launched H2O Africa, which later merged with the initiative Water Partners, eventually becoming Water.org. The foundation's work isn't just about drilling a few wells and handing out money. Water.org builds sustainable models. They help communities develop infrastructure, train people, and most importantly, provide microloans so families can invest in connecting their homes to safe water and sanitation. It's not charity from above. It's empowerment, giving people the means to change their own lives. Over the years, the organization has provided access to safe water and sanitation for more than 50 million people across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. In India, families have used microfinancing to install water pipes directly into their homes. In Africa, thousands of women and children no longer spend hours walking for water, freeing up time for education and work. Matt Damon hasn't just lent his name to the project. He's actively involved in pushing the issue forward. He visits refugee camps, meets with politicians, and speaks at the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and major business conferences. His mission is clear: to convince the world that access to water isn't charity. It's a basic human right. There have even been moments when people mocked him. In 2013, Damon staged a tongue-in-cheek protest, announcing a toilet strike, saying he wouldn't use the bathroom until everyone in the world had access to clean water. The press laughed, but the stunt worked. It got millions talking about the issue. The key point is that Damon uses his fame not for red carpets, but as a lever of pressure. He knows people will read and listen to his interviews, and he spends that attention on reminding the world of this crisis. That's what sets him apart from many other stars who are content with handing out a couple million for PR headlines. Critics argue, rightly, that no celebrity can solve such a colossal problem alone. One foundation won't save the world. But Damon's contribution isn't measured only in money. It's in the way he turned water access into a global conversation. Thanks to him, millions in the West became aware that for billions of people, a glass of clean water isn't normal. It's a dream. Matt Damon's story shows that an actor can be a hero not just on screen. His films may gross millions at the box office, but his foundation Water.org changes millions of lives in real life. And that might just be the most important role of his entire career. LeBron James. LeBron James is a name recognized even by those who know little about basketball. Nicknamed King James. He is a multiple-time NBA champion, an Olympic gold medalist, and, in many ways, the face of modern basketball. But beyond the court, he has another title, one of the most generous athletes in the world. His impact on philanthropy is so significant that many believe when his playing days are over, this will be his greatest legacy. LeBron was born in Akron, Ohio. His childhood was far from glamorous. Raised by a single mother, growing up in poverty, moving constantly, and sometimes without a home at all. Basketball became more than just a sport. It was his ticket to a different life. And when he found success, he promised himself that he would give back to his hometown far more than he had received. In 2004, he founded the LeBron James Family Foundation, which at first focused on supporting youth sports programs. Over time, though, it grew into a powerful force for transforming children's lives. The foundation's most celebrated achievement is the I Promise School in Akron. Opened in 2018, the school is unique. It's designed specifically for at-risk children from underprivileged families, kids who are most likely to drop out. But here, they don't just receive a free education. They're given meals, bicycles to get to school, free uniforms, and access to mental health services. Parents aren't left out either. They receive job training, legal aid, and even food support for their households. And it doesn't stop there. LeBron's foundation partnered with the University of Akron to guarantee that every graduate of the I Promise program will receive free college tuition. In effect, he gave hundreds of kids the assurance of higher education, something that once seemed out of reach. All of this has cost tens of millions of dollars. Estimates suggest that the I Promise initiative alone has exceeded $40 million. But for LeBron, it's not an expense. It's an investment in the future of his city. As he himself has said, "I know what it's like to be a kid without chances. I want these kids to have them." Beyond the school, The foundation runs summer camps, mentorship programs, and leadership development initiatives for teenagers. And LeBron isn't a distant benefactor. He regularly visits the school, plays with the children, and engages with their families. To the students, he's not just a superstar on TV. He's someone who genuinely cares about them. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the foundation launched emergency relief programs, distributing food to families, supporting teachers, and paying for internet access so children could keep learning remotely. LeBron also supports broader causes. He donates to fight racism and has backed projects aimed at reforming the U.S. education system. In 2020, he co-founded More Than a Vote, a campaign to help African Americans register to vote and protect their civil rights. Critics sometimes claim athletes should stick to sports and avoid politics, but LeBron consistently rejects that notion. For him, philanthropy and activism are extensions of his mission. He knows millions listen to his voice, and he uses that platform to stand up for those who usually go unheard. Today, LeBron James is not only a basketball legend, but also a symbol of hope for thousands of children in Akron. His story proves that even if you grow up in poverty, you can not only rise above it yourself, but also build bridges for others to cross. And decades from now, people may remember him not only as one of the greatest to ever play basketball, but as the man who transformed the futures of thousands of families. Shakira. When we hear the name Shakira, her hits immediately come to mind. Hips Don't Lie, Waka Waka, and dozens of other songs that have long since become part of global pop culture. Her movements on stage are pure energy, her voice recognizable in seconds. But beyond the spotlight, Shakira is not only a singer and superstar, she is one of Latin America's most dedicated philanthropists, having devoted much of her wealth and influence to the cause of education. Her charitable journey began in the late 1990s, when she was still a young artist rising to international fame. In 1997, following her success in Latin America, she founded the Fundación Pies Descalzos, Barefoot Foundation. The name is symbolic. It refers to the children in Colombia's poorest neighborhoods who literally walk barefoot, without proper clothing or access to school. At first, the foundation was small, but it soon grew into a major movement. Its main mission is to build schools and provide children with access to education. Over the years, the foundation has built and continues to support several schools in Colombia's poorest regions, including Barranquilla, Cartagena, and Quibdó. These are not just classrooms. They are fully equipped facilities with libraries, sports centers, computer labs, and they provide free meals to students. Thanks to Shakira, tens of thousands of children have been given a chance at an education that otherwise would have been impossible. In a country where social inequality runs deep, her work has been a genuine breakthrough, and she hasn't stopped at her homeland. The Pies Descalzos Foundation has become an international partner of UNICEF and other organizations. Shakira has been heavily involved in global initiatives promoting early childhood education, recognizing that the first years of a child's life are crucial for shaping their future. In 2010, she also co-founded ALAS, America Latina en Acción Solidaria, an organization that brought together prominent Latin American artists and business leaders to advance preschool education. Beyond her foundation, Shakira regularly donates millions to various causes. After the devastating 2010 earthquake in Haiti, she contributed funds to rebuild schools and helped construct a new educational facility for affected children. The international community has long recognized her efforts. In 2003, Shakira was appointed a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. Since then, she has spoken at global platforms including the United Nations and the World Economic Forum, emphasizing the importance of investing in education. What stands out about her is her humility. Despite her global fame, Shakira avoids turning philanthropy into self-promotion. Her speeches lack theatrics. She speaks simply, explaining that without education, poverty becomes a closed cycle, and education is the most powerful tool to break it. Of course, like any celebrity, she has critics. Some have accused her of using her foundations for tax breaks. But even her toughest critics admit that the results are undeniable. The schools exist, children are studying, and thousands of lives have been changed for the better. Today, Shakira continues to balance a global music career with her mission as an advocate for education. She often says her greatest pride is not the stadium concerts, but the graduates of Pies Descalzos schools who go on to become doctors, engineers, and teachers. Shakira's story is proof that an artist can turn success into a vehicle for change. Born in Colombia, a country where millions of children lack even basic rights, she chose not to abandon her roots after achieving global fame, but to return and rewrite the rules. And maybe her songs make millions dance, but her schools make millions of children dream. These are the stories. Of course, most celebrities prefer to spend their wealth on another mansion or a collection of designer bags, but some choose a different path, using their fortune to change the world. And looking at them, you realize money can corrupt people, but sometimes it can turn them into heroes.